Hey, somebody mentioned this in the chat, and I totally forgot to bring it up during the podcast. I did see that Walt Disney documentary that
I haven't
PBS
recorded, but I haven't seen it yet.
4 hours.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it looked awesome.
There are some, they talk to a lot of, historian people. Some of those guys are full of shit. Some of those guys, it's like, all right.
Taking this
all right, buddy.
Anyone want this?
No.
Hot Wheels,
We know
away.
we know you're the big Supernatural fan. It's
Yes,
all
that's
Yeah.
me. See ya.
okay, yeah. I'll message you in a little bit.
Cool. Bye.
All right, see ya. But anyway, yeah. So as long as you take a little bit of those guys with a grain of salt, the rest is awesome. All that it covers is just it was really cool. It was really, really cool.
It's awesome.
And honestly, I finished it not feeling 4 hours. I one sitting watched it, and I never felt like it was oh, come on. It was great. It was cool to see. There was a lot of stuff that I knew, but what was interesting is seeing it all in the scope of his whole, I know all the pieces, but seeing it in the scope of what followed what, I don't know, I wasn't prepared for that. That kind of surprised me. It was funny when they go into the creation of Disneyland and stuff. It was kind of segued into by how much he was kind of losing it with his animation. He was just detaching more and more from animation, and then it got to a point where he's just kind of playing with trains and stuff, and everyone's like,
Disney lost it.
yeah, this guy's fucking cracked. It kind of insinuates that a little bit, and then
People get
and how that kind of trails into, okay, now he's working on Disneyland. It's really interesting, but it kind of backed up what I had heard before, which was in his later parts of his career, he loved WED, the company making Disneyland stuff, and kind of stopped caring about the cartoon. He kind of he wasn't around during a lot of Sleeping Beauty, and then when he would check in, it was I don't like. Yeah. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. I feel a little cautious, like I'm spoiling it, but I don't know. It's his life.
Who made this documentary?
PBS.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a PBS thing. They have a series called The American Experience or something that. Yeah.
No, I'm being totally serious. But do they go into? I've always heard weird joke things about him being anti-Semitic.
Yeah, that always goes around. No, there's nothing about that.
Where does that come from with Walt Disney?
I don't know. There's always rumors here and there, and I don't know exactly any specific stuff, to be honest. But
the documentary didn't. Shed light on
everybody who worked for him, when they talk about it, it's they don't necessarily all talk all roses about him.
Well, he's a businessman.
But they never bring that up. No one ever encountered.
Yeah.
You don't hear about that from people who he worked with, and they talk about stuff with him and how he treated women and stuff too. But I don't know. People really like working for him. But a lot of the issues with him are honestly a lot of them are issues with the time. At that time, there were a lot of people acting the way that he did about certain things.
That's true.
Wasn't. I don't really know of anything that was particular to Walt Disney, he said this and it was so cruel, or anything. It was a lot of.
I mean, we have U.S. presidents on record saying horrible, racist and misogynist things. It's
exactly.
It is honestly, like you're saying, a sign of the times.
Yeah, they do go into the strike and the communist hearing and stuff like that. That's really interesting. But I don't really know. None of that other stuff was really covered in that. And I don't know really where that comes from, because I do hear about that stuff too.
Mm-hmm. It is interesting though. Nowadays, 2015, we would sit around here and go oh my God, did you hear so-and-so's racist?
Yeah.
That seems to be the biggest thing on news when some celebrity or some known person gets busted for being racist, Hulk Hogan. But think 50 years ago. Well, shit, think however many years ago, segregation was still here in this country. But also, 40 years ago, so-and-so's racist. So's, everyone else in this room. That was not such a thing to be,
Yeah.
It was interesting. Something you probably wouldn't talk about in social situations or, out in public. But, interesting. Thank God it's 2015. and racism is
It's over. It's
is
gone.
over. It's totally
Well,
gone.
yeah, Macklemore did put a stop to it.
Did
Then
put
he,
it-
then he reignited it, didn't he?
Did he bring it back?
He
For,
did.
Yeah, because he dressed in kind of a mockery of a Jewish guy.
A mockery. Oh, I do remember
Yeah,
that.
so now he's back on our shit list again.
Humpty did the Humpty dance. He wore that prosthesis as well. I don't think that's a big deal. Do you like the Humpty dance?
I'm a big.
Do
John
it,
American.
baby.
Yeah.
Do the Humpty Hump. Yeah.
Someone in the chat said, I really need to see Escape from Tomorrowland. No, you don't.
That movie was awful.
We watched that, Kevin and I watched that. It wasn't even like funny bad, right?
It was garbage.
It was bad,
What is
bad.
this?
Pure garbage.
Is this a fan made
Movie they filmed in Disneyland. It
It's
made
the-
a bunch of news because they
Yeah,
actually
it's
filmed
an
it in the
independent
parks
film
and
that
stuff
did
like
that.
Yeah.
They got permission?
No.
No, they just did it, and it's got some vulgar stuff in it, and whatever. It's incomprehensible garbage.
Oh, it just makes sense.
Oh, it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and not funny bad. It's just awful. It's not. It's just not
It's
even
not
worth
worth talking
watching.
about.
It's not worth
Yeah.
watching.
Interesting premise. You're gonna go film something under the guise of Disneyland, but
Yeah.
a false execution.
I give Disney a lot of credit. They didn't do anything. Like
Well-
that thing aired in theater. That thing went in theaters and
It
stuff
did?
like that. Limited release, but
Yeah.
it went around.
What?
It was
Yeah.
a Sundance.
What?
It was a Sundance and stuff like that, and everyone thought, "Oh, Disney's gonna sue them," and Disney basically went, "This is not worth our fucking time." to not.
That's good.
So yeah, that was it had an interesting story behind it.
So
but
a lot
it
of
wasn't
people-
worth watching.